Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Welcome to being here. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya.
It's all about time.
What's all about time?
I don't know. That's what we're looking into today.
Okay.
It's the theme
Well,
of our
I
podcast
had an
today.
interesting experience with time about an hour ago.
Tell me.
About an hour ago, I said to you, I had to go to Home Depot to find an irrigation computer to fix our little.
Garden watering system.
There you go.
We do finish each other's sentences, so please include it.
And it's only an hour that we had.
Yes.
And I was back 35 minutes later and the Home Depot is maybe 8 or 10 miles away from here. So I drove there, went to one Lowe's and they didn't have what I wanted. Went to Home Depot, found what I wanted, and made it back here in 35 minutes.
Without rushing.
Without rushing.
One of the things I've noticed about you that's different than a lot of people is when you are in the midst of something, whether it's tying a fishing fly, doing the dishes, making breakfast, making love, going to Home Depot.
Oh, I like that you put making love.
It's the full range of your self-expression. You are really where you are.
Yes.
You're not off thinking about other things. In fact, when we are chatting in the car and we're driving someplace and Shya is the person behind the wheel, it's really important that I'm not talking to him about things,
about inanities,
even if it's important things, but things that are related to the future or things that I want to catch him up on that I did it during the day from the past that he needs to know about. Because when he's driving, he's fully driving. Today, as you're listening, allow yourself to fully engage in being here. You may be shocked at how much easier it is to accomplish the tasks and also how much more pleasant making love is if you are a lovemaker. How's that?
And are there while you're doing it.
Yeah, well, all of it's about being here.
Well, the name of the show is Being Here, and it's all about actually being where you are as you go through your life, rather than getting lost in your thoughts about some future something that's going to be more, better, or different than the moment you're in. Anyway, we have a guest.
Let's take Ephraim. He's our first guest. Okay. Welcome to Being Here. Tell people where you're zooming in from, Ephraim.
Hi, thanks so much. This is Ephraim, and I'm calling in from Portland, Oregon today because
really?
I'm at my friend's wedding. It's just for the weekend, so
that's great.
But it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's a convenient time for me. So
nice. Welcome.
Thanks. I really appreciate the theme of today's show, and one thing I've noticed hanging out with you guys for a while now is that I have so much time in a day. I think I used to remember being just, frantic and knowing that when I would go, like, for example, go to work, just being used to the hours just going by and not having time to catch up or just feeling behind all the time. And now even though I'm still doing similar types of tasks, and I'm jumping from thing to thing, I just find that there's a lot of time and I can take a break if I need to. I can, spend more the time than is reasonable on something. And
I really love what you said because it reminded me of me before I was transformed. I worked for a company that was doing transformational seminars, and I was leading those seminars, but I was not really still in myself. I was frantic. I always found that I was behind all the time. Things just got ahead of me and I didn't know how. And now I notice that I'm in sync with my life. It's not like I'm trying to get things done. I just do what needs to be done. with the exception of my Suburban. I need, and this afternoon, I am going to make the time to clean it out and reorganize it because it's got stuff in there that doesn't need to be there anymore.
Well, that's one thing I was going to mention is that I have those exceptions too. So as much time as I have, I notice that I don't have time for the things I don't want to do.
Yes, I think that, yes, you do what you want to do and you don't do what you don't want to do, and frequently tell yourself you should when you have no intention.
And I tell myself I don't have time.
Yes.
Yes.
A couple of podcasts ago, we had Stephanie on, who we've known for more than 30 years. And of course, we've had that podcast for many, many years. And she'd never been a guest before. And she said, well, now that I'm retired, I have the time. And we realized that, that is not true. She just didn't want to do it before now. And she looked and she didn't want to do it before now. If you want to do something,
you do it. And if you don't want to, you don't, but you give yourself a reason why.
Right.
Anyway, I like what you said because it's as though, see, time is really, it's strange reality.
Yeah.
There's only the current moment. See, really, this is it. The future hasn't gotten here and the past has already gone by. And so you only have this moment. Now you can think about what to do, and that'll use up this moment, and you won't get anything done in your planning to do. Or you can just see what needs to be done and do it.
You used a word, Ephraim, that I really like, and I want to circle back around to it because you said you've discovered you can spend more time on things than is reasonable. And it tells me that you're not operating in general through your reasonable mind. So part of what has people feel behind is they're giving themselves reasons for why they're doing things and for why they're not doing things, rather than just doing what they're doing when they're doing it. And here you are at a wedding. It's not reasonable to sign in, even though it's earlier than the time frame you would be required or wanted to be at the venue or with your friends. Signing in from Portland is not reasonable, but you look at what you want and you're doing it. And that's a whole different way of life than most people. They give themselves, oh, I can't, my kids, or I can, or I have to because of my kids, or my job, or my relationship, or my cat, or my dog.
Yeah, something else about being reasonable I notice is that when I'm being reasonable, it's also a concern for the future. Like I know I have something else I have to work on, and that I worry that if I'm spend too much time on what I'm doing, I won't have time for that later. Whereas it's just a worry, and it might not
Well,
be
that's
true.
very reasonable. But the reality is, if you are doing what you're doing, it won't take long to get it done.
Hmm.
If you're thinking about the things you have to do in the future whilst doing what you're doing, it may take you a very long time to get what you're doing done.
Yeah.
I have discovered that there are different possibilities in how I operate. Sometimes I have a project. It's often a creative project, but not always. Like there are things that I know that I need to accomplish. And yet, when I come into my office, I realize I want to vacuum, or I want to do the dusting, or there's something I want to attend to, or maybe there's something, because our office is in our home, something else I want to do first. And I've come to trust that I don't have to do things in the sequence that my internal dictator tells me I need to do it in order to be a good worker, manager, business owner, person, because I always get everything done.
Yeah, I noticed that whenever I, for example, come into the office and have something that I tell myself I'm going to do this first, something always comes up. There's always some emergency that throws a wrench at what my preset plans were.
Well, it's interesting. I would get suspect at when you tell yourself that you're going to do this first. That could be your starting plan, but when you get to the office, life unfolds as it does. But I find I only tell myself I'm going to do X or Y when I really have no intention of doing it or don't want to do it.
That's good information.
It's interesting that you give yourself that dictate rather than have it on a list of things you need to accomplish in a certain time frame is very different than going, okay, I'm going to do this first.
Okay. Well, it's not that, yeah, I definitely see how I put pressure on myself to that way.
Well, I have a question. When you say you make a promise to yourself you're going to do that project first, and then emergency comes in or something arises that you need to handle before it, do you still get that other thing done in a timely way?
The distraction or
Now, if you say, I'm going to do project X, and you come into the office and there's something that you need to attend to before project X.
Do you get the project X done?
Yeah, I get what I need to get done.
Yes.
Then maybe you don't need to promise yourself anything before going into work anymore.
This is like making New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
You made New Year's resolutions. Eventually, probably within a week, you stopped doing the New Year's resolution. You stopped doing what you said you would.
Right. And I know what I need to get done. So
yes, so then knowing what you need to get done and setting it aside and being where you are, whether it's on the subway, your walk the night before with your child, your wife, whatever, on the roof, enjoying, the sunset, whatever it is you're in the midst of, when you get to work, you'll be supercharged to do whatever's there in front of you. You don't have to talk to yourself about what you're going to do as if you can't trust yourself.
Sweet.
The other thing is you only get done in a day what you could get done in that day. But I would bet that you think I should have gotten more done than I did.
Oh, yeah.
See, and that doesn't allow you to have the time to rejuvenate when you're not at work because you're still at work when you think you should have gotten it done.
I also think that a lot of us have, excuse me, an internalized idea that a better us would always have a high level of output, energy that's consistent, and we don't recognize the ebbs and flows of our beingness. I don't know, beingness, our body requirements. Like some days, Shia, like today, said, I'm going to handle this. And he went out and did it, and he can do that and the grocery shopping and get gas and do all that, be back within an hour. He's amazing when he attends to something out and about. But then there are other times where he'll go, I need a nap right now. And he'll take a nap. And I don't see him nor me treating him as if the nappish days are less than the out and about,
highly efficient days.
But I'll bet you have a schematic what makes a good day, and a nappish day might not be a good day.
Oh, absolutely. I do think I've noticed that I do nap more. Like I don't beat myself up when I need a nap, when I get a nap.
But it's interesting. You're the most self-expressive I've seen you. maybe ever. And I like it. It's like you're here. So congratulations.
Well, we spoke before we started with you and with our
Next
guest, Uli, and of course our lovely
Engineer.
producer, engineer, Judy. We were all discussing what happens if we're not using the video portion, because we get to see you. And it's lovely to watch your facial reactions. But since we're currently releasing these as audio only, if we smile at each other or nod or shake our heads, the
listener doesn't see that.
And what I love is that you got that and you've stepped up in a proactive way to take care of the listener. And I have a feeling you haven't caught how much you can trust yourself now.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's so nice to be with you. And yeah, I really, I enjoyed listening to these podcasts. I take pride in calling in, and it's just, yeah, it means a lot to share.
That's great. We were speaking in the podcast from last week about how somebody recently in a chat group we're a part of on WhatsApp sent a link to a podcast that had really touched them about, I think it was called something like the ESP tapes, because they were talking about people who are autistic having a different wavelength, and they're able to be brilliant in areas that the people, this, I haven't listened to it yet, so this is just my rough estimation from what that individual said, how people who are on the spectrum have different brilliances, and scientifically testing it. And then a whole bunch of people on that link went and listened or chimed in about what that brought to people. I'm not sure it's occurred to most of our listeners with regularity that if they're touched by the Being Here podcast, for instance, or, man, I just listened to E from Brooklyn, or for today from Portland, who really touched me, here's the podcast, the difference you might make by sharing this with your friends. I'm just saying this before we let Ephraim go. And I'm suggesting you share it with your friends, because you matter, it matters, they matter. There you go. That's my pitch.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Hey, you want to hear about transformation? We've got one of our listeners about to tell you about what's happened in their life out of listening to Being Here.
Hi, this is Ashley from Cambridge. Coming to the transformational seminars with Ariel and Shya Kane lifts my life. It brings a sense of well-being into everything I do. It makes life better in every way. And I'm really grateful.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
You can join us for our next virtual weekend seminar, Transformational Time and Project Management. It's happening in September on the 27th and 28th, which is a Saturday and Sunday. Buy your ticket now. Reserve your space, not only with us, but in your calendar. Then we go to Hamburg in October on Thursday, the 23rd. Susan Finch and I are doing a course called Speak Up, and then Shya and I are doing Practical Enlightenment Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
The 24th, 25th, and 26th.
That's right.
In person in Hamburg.
Woohoo! Also, Costa Rica, you're still welcome. If you haven't registered yet, a weekend seminar is the prerequisite in this calendar year if you would like to join us in January 2026.
Yeah, when it's cold here, it's delightful.
It is delightful there. Let's take our next guest.
Yes, let's.
Miss Uli. Speaking of Germany, where are you zooming in from?
Yes, hello, this is Uli, and I am in Overath, which is close to Cologne in Germany.
Nice. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
I had a question in mind before I joined, and then I listened to you speaking to Ephraim, and something very different came up for me, which I'd like to speak about.
Yes. Perfect.
We have a house, my husband, my family, and I, and recently we've done a lot of planning because there will be things that we need to change. Like we will need a new heating at a certain point. We are looking into photovoltaic systems and
what systems? I missed the last.
Like solar energy on the roof.
Gotcha. Okay, good. I just didn't follow you, so I didn't want to let it go. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and this involves like investments and long-term planning.
Yes.
And in the past, that would have driven me crazy, like would have taken me out in upset, in worrying about when am I going to die, whatever. Yeah.
I love that.
Is it worth it to make the investment if we're going to die?
Yeah, and then it really involves like how long is this system going to last? Will we need to replace it whilst we are still alive and all that? And I've not.
When we put in our solar system, because we have solar panels on the house, we're not certain that in the cost savings that we would make our investment back over the life cycle of our being in the house. Mm-hmm. And what was important to us was to look and see two things. Did we want to do it? The answer was yes. And did it feel like the right thing to do for us in an investment in our energy consumption so mm-hmm. that we could have a lot of it from the sun? And that was yes. So then we let go of whether or not it was a good investment, because what we knew was it was something we wanted to do. So good, bad, right, wrong.
You know, when you say that, it's interesting because I said earlier in the show that I went to the Home Depot and found a little irrigation computer that I'm going to put back on our watering system. Mm-hmm. Now, interestingly enough, as I'm checking out, the fellow said, do you want a 2-year fully replacement plan? It'll cost you $6. You know, if I went out and bought a latte, it would cost me $6.
Yes.
You know, the idea of spending money as though it's a problem, spending money isn't the problem. So it's the idea that you will somehow need it someday. When you start operating like what you want in your life you can have, rather than worry about some future. See, that problem, there really is a problem with your worrying about a future that you may not get to. Look, 2-year plan. I'm 84. I might not be alive in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But he went for it. He brought me the receipt.
I got the receipt. You know, I went and did it. It wasn't a big deal. You can either spend your life thinking about if you're doing it right, or you can do what you want to do.
Now, I have
one other thing.
Yeah.
When you die, the money in your bank, you can't use it anymore.
I know you want to hand a legacy to your kids, but so I suspect some of what we're already saying, you've already discovered, but that wasn't necessarily
all for you.
All for you. What else do you have to say about what you're discovering as you're investing?
Mm-hmm. Give me a second.
She's coughing and she muted for us all. Thank you very much. That was nice of you.
Yes, and now I'm back here. Well, what I've discovered is that I I can discuss these things and at the same time be where I am without going off into that very far away future. Like enjoy the sun while I'm sitting there with my husband speaking about these things, cuddle our dogs, whatever. I don't have to, I can speak about it, I can make these plans, but I don't have to go off there. And I learned that from you.
Well, you see, here's the thing. You're doing what you're doing when you're doing it. If you're talking about your investments with your husband, and that's what your moment's about. But if you're sitting with your husband and talking about, and you're thinking about your investments rather than listening to him, you miss out on that moment.
I really think, first of all, just a shameless plug for the Speak Up course in Hamburg. That's part of why we're doing the Speak Up course. It's so much easier just to speak up about things rather than to ruminate in your head, which you do now, rather than have to try and figure it all out before you speak to your husband. I suspect some of the stuff we were talking with Ephraim about, Uli, really relates to you. I just see in the early days of you didn't trust yourself the same way you do now. And so, sitting and worry was a habitual place, a comfort zone, even though it was uncomfortable. And you're just so consistently you. And I see you less afraid of the unknown and more comfortable being where you are rather than worrying about where it's going.
Yes, I can feel that. That's true. Yes.
Well, you can do nothing about where it's going. But if you're here, you can enjoy this moment of your life, no matter what you're doing, you see. That's an interesting thing. In that I like to go fishing. But if I'm washing the dishes, I'm enjoying washing the dishes just as much as I am if I'm going fishing.
Right. You're not thinking about getting them done in order to get off the fish, right?
And there was a time that I thought going fishing was more important than other things. Mm-hmm. I noticed it. I saw a boat go by the other day, and I thought, I had a boat like that once. If I had a boat like that, it would force me to go to the river and fish more because I had that boat, you see. Whatever you're up to, that's what you're up to in your life in this moment. So don't downplay it. Enjoy it. Get involved in whatever you're engaged in, because that's what your moment entails. The moment determines what shows up in your life. You really have very little to do with it,
Mm-hmm. I want to acknowledge you. I hope I don't drive you crazy. I hope we see you again sometime soon. Sometimes acknowledgement drives people away, but I really admire you and our listeners, a lot of our listeners, and certainly the people who come to the weekends and the Living Made Easies. I know that transformation is instantaneous, but it's absolutely cumulative. And sometimes you don't even notice how strong you've gotten in your ability to be where you are until you sit down and you're talking to your husband about these really big investments and you're not worried about where it's going. But you come on as a guest, you come to Living Made Easies, you do weekends, you talk to your friends about it.
You come with us to Costa Rica. You invest in you. See, that's the thing. You've made an investment in your well-being and the well-being of the people around you by taking care of yourself.
So we just wanted to say it does not go unnoticed, and we admire you for it.
Yeah.
It takes courage. Most people come, they're so concerned that they're going to find out something
bad about themselves, rather than find out how absolutely brilliant they are.
Which is actually inconvenient.
Yes, of course, because then people will want more from you.
Well, like this morning we were up here and you said to me, you look really beautiful today. And some part of me went, shunk, shunk, like, okay, that's fine. Let's move on to the important things, like hearing things that sound to my mind is complementary, from time to time are inconvenient.
I'm just going to have to do it more often.
Okay, good. I like it. It works for me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everything you said.
Yeah, I have one question. You said you had a question before you came. Did it get answered or is it still there? I know you had something different to say, but.
Well, actually, it wasn't really a question. It was more of an observation. When you say it's all about time, it's also about the point in time when things happen. Like I can have wild thoughts and then I realize I'm actually tired, and that oftentimes that's a certain point in time when certain things happen. Or in the morning, I have negative thoughts, and that's the point in time when these negative thoughts happen. So I somehow had it structured.
Have you looked to see what time your negative thoughts happen? And by that I mean, is the news broadcasting when you have your negative thoughts happening?
Yes.
And most people listen to the news and then they have negative thoughts.
And they think, oh, it's morning, I have negative thoughts, rather than perhaps their consumption of the news generates that.
Perhaps there's is the word Gestalt? Zeitgeist in your environment of people who are having negative thoughts. Look, Uli, most people are lost in their negative thoughts most of the time. And I say most, I'm talking about a lot more than 51%. I'm saying the vast majority of people are lost in upsetting thoughts about an unknown future that hasn't gotten here. And their minds work out the worst possible scenarios, not the best.
Also, I know we've spoken about it on other podcasts and in written things about the phenomena that we have made up a term for called synchronization, where you link up and sync up. And back when your kids were actively in school, you often linked up and synced up with all the other parents in your children's classes. And so walking them to the bus, you would likely have a conversation with yourself that was in concert with them. We had the funniest thing happen the other night. We're laying in bed and Shya is playing solitaire and he's almost asleep, and I'm reading a book, and Shya goes, I'm at this, I'm so tired, I'm at the hallucinatory stage where I'm having these conversations that have nothing to do with reality. I'm worried about our landlord. Now, mind you,
we don't have a landlord. We haven't had one for 30 years.
Yeah, so we live here. We have our home. We paid our mortgage. We don't have a landlord. And I'm reading a book next to him, and my character's landlord has just gone to the hospital, and they're not sure the landlord is going to survive. And I'm in there. I'm reading faster because I want to see what's going to happen with that character, because I liked that character. So it was very interesting that Shya is worried about the landlord while laying next to me, because that was my concern in the moment. What if some of the things that are strange that you tune in on, or the ways you are, happen around your environment when you happen to just be more available to the information?
Yeah, that sounds very true.
Yeah. So, well, I'm happy that you're having.
She's happy.
I am happy, but I recall when you were looking at buying your current home or a piece of property or selling a piece of property, I don't remember, many years ago, and how you tortured yourself over making the right decision. And I love seeing you so relaxed about it today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned before, you can subscribe to the podcast, share it with your friends, subscribe to our newsletter, sign up for courses, whatever your appetite is for you are invited. Next week's episode is also the name for our 2-hour virtual seminars.
Living Made Easy.
Yes. So we'll be back next week.
So come on back.
Don't miss
Being here.